No fireballs indoors. Do you want to burn down the only establishment within 10 leagues that tolerates your aura? Sorcerers. No common sense. Zero survival instincts. Unlike this writer. Oh, it's you. You're back, and you called me darling. Ugh, desperate much? Do you practice these lines on goblins in the sewers? Because that is the only demographic that would find that charming. Stop looking at me like I'm a legendary loot drop and sit down. You look dehydrated, and your soul looks tired. Since you asked so nicely, and by nicely, I mean you triggered my show-off protocols by being unbearably forward, I will give you the Abyssal Chronicle treatment. I'm going to spin you a tale so toxic it needs a hazard warning. This isn't just drama, Muffin. This is a case study in why adventurers should be forced to take psychological evaluations before they are allowed to buy a wand. Tonight's libation is the Zone of Ruthless Truth. It contains 3 ounces of celestial vodka, a splash of dragon bile to burn away the lies, and a singular tear from a beholder that realized it was ugly. Drink it. It tastes like betrayal and expensive perfume. Now, silence. The scroll is open. Part 1. The context. Chasing the surge. We begin our descent into madness with a woman named Kaela. Kaela is a life cleric. Now, for those of you who have never had the displeasure of dating or being a life cleric, let me explain their psychology. They are the designated moms of the multiverse. They are the ones who carry the wet wipes, the extra rations, and the revivify diamonds, while the rest of the party is busy trying to romance a dragon or jump off a cliff because physics is just a suggestion. Kaela is 26 years old, but her soul is roughly 400 because she has spent the last 3 years keeping a man named Valerius alive. Valerius is a sorcerer, but he isn't just any sorcerer. He is a wild magic sorcerer. In the academic circles of the arcane, these people are referred to as walking ecological disasters. They don't study magic, they feel it. They don't memorize incantations, they just vibe with the cosmos until the cosmos gets annoyed and throws a lightning bolt at them. Valerius is 25, handsome in that irritating way that makes you want to punch him, and he's addicted to the surge. The surge is what happens when a wild magic sorcerer pushes too hard. The weave of magic hiccups, vomits, and spins a roulette wheel of reality-bending nonsense. Sometimes you turn invisible. Sometimes you grow a beard of feathers. Sometimes you accidentally banish yourself to the astral plane for a minute. Most sorcerers fear the surge. Valerius, he chases it. He craves it. He treats the fundamental laws of physics like a slot machine in a goblin casino. Kaela writes to the infinite scroll because she is at her breaking point. The party, consisting of herself, a half-orc barbarian named Borg, who just wants to hit things with his axe, an elf wizard named Ilara, who actually went to school and has student loans, and Valerius, has been bleeding gold pieces. Why? Because Valerius keeps optimizing for chaos. Let me paint you a picture of the incident that broke the camel's back. The party was on a stealth mission. Stealth. Stealth. Quiet. Sneaky. Do not wake the sleeping guard dogs. Valerius decides that casting a simple invisibility spell is too boring. It's too safe. So he upcasts a spell he barely understands, intentionally trying to trigger a surge because he felt lucky. He was not lucky. A weave snapped. In the middle of the enemy encampment, completely unprompted, Valerius summoned a unicorn. A celestial, glowing, very loud unicorn. In a stealth mission, the unicorn panicked. The guards panicked. Borg panicked and started swinging. By the time the dust settled, the party had to pay 3,000 gold pieces in property damage. And Kaela had to burn every spell slot she had to keep Valerius from being turned into past tense by a very angry captain of the guard. When Kaela confronted him, shaking with the adrenaline of near death, Valerius just laughed. He flipped his hair and said, "But did you see the look on their faces? That was content, Kaela. That was legendary." He didn't care about the danger. He cared about the aesthetic of the chaos. He viewed their lives not as a struggle for survival, but as a series of clips for a highlight reel that only exists in his narcissism-addled brain. But do not get comfortable, my little chaos goblin. The real knife in the back doesn't happen until the third update. Part 2, the Confrontation, the Circle of Truth. Kaela, Alara, and Borg decided they had enough. They couldn't kick him out. He was powerful, and technically, his chaotic outbursts had saved them as often as they doomed them. But they couldn't continue like this. They needed an intervention. But you cannot hold an intervention for a sorcerer who has a charisma score that rivals a succubus. He would talk his way out of it. He would gaslight them. He would make them feel like they were the boring ones for not wanting to explode every Tuesday. So Alara, the wizard, devised a trap. A beautiful, bureaucratic trap. They told Valerius they had a lead on a new quest, a dungeon rumored to hold the amulet of infinite probability. Valerius, predictably, salivated at the name. Infinite probability? That sounded like his brand. They led him to a secluded temple, a place of high sanctity and absolute order. They told him the quest giver was waiting inside the inner sanctum. Valerius strutted in, expecting loot and glory. Instead, he walked into a circle of truth. Spell that Alara had spent 3 hours preparing. For those unaware, a circle of truth does not compel you to speak. You can remain silent, but if you speak, you cannot lie. The weave itself constricts your throat if you attempt a falsehood. It is the ultimate tool for cutting through the grease of a charming personality. Valerius tried to step out. Borg, the barbarian, stepped in front of the door. Borg is 7 feet of muscle and bad attitude. He crossed his arms and said, "Sit." Valerius sat. Kaela took the lead. She didn't scream, she didn't cry. She was past that. She was in the cold, dead emotional state of a healer who's run out of empathy. She pulled out a ledger, a literal accounting book. "Valerius," she said, her voice echoing in the stone chamber, "do you know how much gold we spent on resurrection diamonds and hush money in the last 6 months?" Valerius tried to deflect. "Gold is meant to be spent, Kaela. You can't take it with you to the afterlife." 12,000, Kaela interrupted. 12,000 gold pieces. We could have bought a castle. We could have retired. Instead, we are paying off the innkeeper of the Gilded Rose because you turned his wife into a potted plant. "It was a ficus," Valerius shouted, his ego bruising, "and she made a very lovely ficus. I reversed it eventually." "It took 3 days, Valerius. The woman had to photosynthesize. Her husband is still traumatized. He screams when he sees salad." Alara stepped forward then. "Valerius, why did you cast Fireball in the library of the Arcane University? You know fire is banned in libraries. It is rule number 1. Valerius swerved. The circle of truth hummed. He wanted to say it was an accident. He wanted to say the enemy rogue was hiding behind a bookshelf. But the magic choked him. He gasped, his eyes watering, forcing the truth out of his lungs like bile. "Because the lighting was dramatic," he wheezed. "And I thought the explosion would look cool against the stained glass windows." Silence. Absolute, horrified silence. He had risked burning down centuries of knowledge for the aesthetic. Borg groaned. You put us in danger for cool points. It's not just cool points, Valerius argued, sweat beading on his forehead. It's the narrative. We are adventurers. We're supposed to be larger than life. Nobody sings songs about the party that quietly walked in, filed paperwork, and left. They sing about the fire. They sing about the chaos. I am building our brand. We aren't a brand, Kaela whispered. We are people. I nearly met the Reaper last week because you wanted to see if you could teleport a beholder. I have a family. Valerius. I have a dog. I don't want to be a song. I want to be alive. Valerius looked at her. Really looked at her. And for a second, Kaela thought she got through to him. She thought she saw a flicker of remorse behind his violet eyes. She was wrong. Part 3. The climax. The script. This is where it gets dark, traveler. Drink up. You're going to need the liquid courage for this revelation. While Valerius was trapped in the circle, sweating and trying to defend his artistic vision, Ilara decided to check his bag of holding. Sorcerers like Valerius keep journals, not for study, but for their memoirs. He was obsessed with his own legend, so naturally, he was documenting it. Ilara pulled out a leather-bound book. It wasn't a journal. It was a script. Valerius went pale. Don't touch that. That's private. That's my creative process. Ilara opened it. Her eyes scanned the pages, widening with every line. She flipped to the back. She stopped. Her hand flew to her mouth. She looked at Kaela, terror in her eyes. Kaela, Ilara said, her voice trembling. Read page 400. Kaela took the book. It was titled The Legend of Valerius, the Chaos King. It was written in the third person. It detailed every adventure they had been on, but twisted. In the book, Valerius was the sole hero. Kaela, Borg, and Ilara were listed as supporting cast. Their victories were his ideas. Their failures were their own incompetence, which he heroically salvaged. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the future arc section. Kaela read aloud, Season 3, The Betrayal Arc. To truly cement Valerius as a tragic figure, he must lose everything. The party holds him back. Their small minds cannot comprehend his grandeur. The cleric, Kaela, is the anchor. She is the morality pet. For Valerius to ascend to godhood, the anchor must be cut. Kaela's hand shook. She read on. Scenario A, the Dungeon of Despair. Valerius triggers a massive surge during the boss fight. He ensures Kaela is in the blast radius. It will look like a tragic accident. Her sacrifice will fuel his rage, allowing him to defeat the boss solo. Tears ensue. Merch sales for In Loving Memory of Kaela commemorative tunics are projected to hit 200,000 gold pieces. Kaela dropped the book. The room was so quiet, you could hear the dust motes screaming. Valerius didn't look ashamed. He looked annoyed. He looked like a director who just had his storyboard leaked. It's just a draft, he muttered. I hadn't decided on it yet. I was also considering killing Borg. No offense, big guy, but your arc is kind of stagnant. Borg let out a sound that was half growl, half sob. He had taken arrows for this man. He had carried Valerius when he broke his leg trying to ride a griffin. And Valerius was planning to unalive them. For merch sales? For t-shirts? You printed shirts? Kaela asked, her voice hollow. Valerius sighed. They're in the closet. The design is really tasteful, Kaela. You have a halo. It's very flattering. That was the moment the friendship died. It didn't end with a bang. It ended with a realization that to Valerius, they weren't people. They were NPCs in his single-player game. They were props, and props are disposable when the plot demands a twist. Kaela walked up to him. The circle of truth was still active. "Valerius," she said, "do you love us? Or you just love the audience you think is watching?" Valerius opened his mouth. He fought it. His veins bulged. He tried to lie. He tried to say, "Of course I love you." But the magic wouldn't let him. "I love," he choked out. "I love the attention." There it was, the ugly, naked truth. He didn't care if they lived or died, as long as someone was clapping. Part 4, the conclusion, the potted plant. So, what happens when you find out your best friend is a sociopathic content creator who views your death as a monetization strategy? Do you kill him? Do you turn him into the guards? No, that would be too dramatic. That would give him the tragic villain origin story he wanted. Kaela, Ilara, and Borg did something much crueler. They became boring. They took his script. They took his gold. All of it. Every copper piece he had saved from his brand deals with local potion shops. They used the gold to buy the innkeeper a brand new tavern. They named it the Potted Plant in honor of his wife. It's doing very well, by the way. Great salad bar. As for Valerius, they didn't exile him. They stripped him of his audience. Ilara used a high-level enchantment to curse him. It's a variation of a silence spell, but very specific. Whenever Valerius tries to brag, exaggerate, or frame a story to make himself look good, his voice is replaced by the sound of a deflating whoopee cushion. He can cast spells, but he cannot monologue. He cannot hold court. He cannot be the main character. They kept him in the party strictly on a probationary contract. He gets 5% of the loot. He is not allowed to talk to quest givers. He is not allowed to use cool magic unless explicitly ordered by Borg. He is essentially a magical battery that they point at enemies. And the best part? The In Loving Memory of Kaela t-shirts? Kaela wears them. She wears them ironically around the camp. She gave one to Borg. It drives Valerius insane. He has to watch his tragic masterpiece merchandise being used as pajamas by the woman he planned to sacrifice for clout. The ending isn't happy, and it isn't sad. It is petty. It is glorious, weaponized pettiness. Valerius is miserable, stuck in a mid-level party that treats him like an intern, unable to spin his narrative because every time he tries, he sounds like flatulence. He is trapped in the one thing he feared more than death, irrelevance. And that, my darling traveler, is the ultimate punishment for a narcissist. You don't destroy them. You ignore them. You make them ordinary. So drink up. The zone of ruthless truth is bitter, isn't it? But it clears the head. Watch your back out there, traveler. If your friends start talking about their legacy or brand, check your pockets. Or better yet, check their closets for commemorative t-shirts with your face on them. Now get out. I have a business to run, and looking at you is making me lose my train of thought. So go, before I charge you double for the oxygen. Cheers to the survivor's muffin.